everyone, and welcome to Exercise Night Rider, which is set for Wednesday, the 22nd of April, 2015. Today's exercise is pretty much going to be a part of our Phase 3 training for most of you guys. However, concurrently within that, we're also going to be doing some use of both night equipment and designating equipment for targets as we do our training. The reason we'll be doing a night exercise this week is because Joint Special Forces Aviation Wing require the training areas have some night background so that they can use it for their particular training program. This is a pre-op video and it will help with some of the details that will come through within the exercise itself. The exercise I'm hoping to have within done about 2 to 3 hours worth of time. Hopefully you can designate that much time. If not, it's completely understandable. This is going to hopefully come towards some of the new guys' official training record with permission from Major Fisher and from Corporal Stanley and Lance Corporal Warburton, along with other people who wish to contribute towards the training program itself. So please feel free to contribute any queries, questions or concerns you have over this particular training schedule. And with that being said, anyone else who is watching, please submit any feedback or any comments you wish to have, and spread the word too. Just pass on how the video's doing, things you think I should improve on, things that you think I can adjust. So let's go on to the actual exercise details itself then. So this training exercise will be broken into 2 separate phases. Concurrently within that, as mentioned before, we will be using both night vision equipment and laser designating equipment to allow us to locate targets and mark targets for friendlies. Phase 1 of this exercise is basically going to be a convoy drive through a part of the training area which has been marked on the map, which will be shown shortly. The training area is a hot training area, therefore enemy targets will be within this training area and therefore must be taken as such and engaged as such as we take this convoy route. The convoy route is quite self-explanatory, but it is marked, and I'll go through each individual stage shown shortly. The convoy is to proceed along a circuit route, a one-way circuit route, in a big loop back round to the original checkpoint which we're going to leave from. When you leave the checkpoint is deemed as the starting point of the training area. Therefore, from that point on, weapons are hot, and you are to engage any targets you see en route or deal with the situation as you're being trained on the ground, depending on the convoy procedures you're being taught. With that also being said, you need to make sure that you're listening to your section commanders, new guys, or anyone else who's being under command of your section commanders, because this will be also a training exercise for the NCOs to be able to practice their convoy drills, to be able to pass on command to the newer guys with their training for Phase 3. Phase 2 then will pretty much be a CASEVAC / medical triage situation. However, at the end of the convoy, we'll be parking up at a small final rendezvous, moving into a defensive location, and multiple targets will proceed to engage us at one defensive location. Casualties hopefully will be taken, and I will dictate how many people are taken casualty. I'm not going to overwhelm the section itself, but people will be engaged from quite a long distance to allow you to give a bit more time to start practicing your triage procedures, making sure that your casualty is secure, etc., etc. That will be given to you on the ground and passed down through the training program that we'll have on the day via your NCOs and section commanders. Also with that, as I mentioned before, we'll be practicing the use of IR grenades, laser pointers, and also flares, night flares that can be used to shoot up in the sky and mark enemy targets or to help highlight the ground in front of us as friendlies. So something a little bit more interesting. We'll also practice use of patrolling without night vision and the use of actual night vision itself, both on the vehicle patrol and on foot patrol going into the defensive location. So yeah, basically 2 major phases of the exercise. Phase 1 being a convoy drive with contacts en route and how to deal with them as we go. And Phase 2 will be a defensive location with casualty evacuation and triage, along with medical procedures back to either safe locations or on the spot. So the initial part of the exercise, guys, is quite simple and self-explanatory. Obviously, we're going to want to set up our gear and equipment as quickly as possible to make the most of the training area and the training time that we have. Vehicles that we can take are entirely up to the section commanders and whoever's dictating the convoy itself. I would suggest taking the Jackals for both the GMG and HMG weapon systems that can be used against the enemy on the route. However, that's entirely up to the section commanders. As I said, make sure we get our equipment put on as quickly as possible so we can get going. Section commanders delegate who they want where. We'll go through a quick rundown of how we operate prior to getting to the training area, doing our formations and our convoy procedures as we go. And we'll do a quick rundown on paper prior to the actual training op itself to go over some basics that we're going to need to know for the actual operation on the area itself. If medics need extra supplies, make sure they bring them with them for the rest of the exercise, and obviously make sure we bring some extra ammunition for the exercise as we go, because we will be in a prolonged contact after the contact in the convoy to then go on to our defensive formation for the CASEVAC drills and medical casualties. So our first start off is going to be Fob Archer, and we'll be taking a left heading east towards the training area. Once we leave Fob Archer, we're going to head in an easterly direction, following the track along pretty much all the way until we hit a checkpoint. Once we hit that checkpoint that is now designated as a hot zone, and targets from this point on will engage you back. The road's pretty self-explanatory and straightforward getting to the checkpoint, so we shouldn't have any problems. However, when we get to our first wide junction from heading out of Fob Archer, please take a left and head towards the checkpoint towards the northernmost part of the island, which will be located on the map. So once we leave the checkpoint here, we're going to head in an easterly direction following designated RVs, which I'm going to mark with you right now. If we follow the IR grenade pattern on the track here, you should be able to get a good idea of the route we're going. And this is just for reference only, guys. You don't have to really make note of this right now. They will be marked on the map for section commanders to reference. So once we leave our checkpoint here, leaving away from Fob Archer, this will be now designated as our hot zone. The hot zone will engage with targets from multiple directions, and I will give section commanders a heads up of where they're from for training purposes to help out. So we're going to head up this track here towards the east, and once we hit this T-junction, we're going to take a right. This will be designated as RV1 from leaving the checkpoint. We're then going to continue following this track, and a nice windy wiggly line here to hit another T-junction. This is going to be RV2. At RV2, we're going to take a left. Taking a left here, we're then going to hit very closely within about 100 meters RV3. Do not proceed straight ahead. At RV3, we have to take a we have to take an instant 90-degree left, following this winding track down the hill, following it all the way down until we hit this T-junction at the bottom of the hill in the small little valley here. As you can see by the IR grenades, we are going nowhere near the right-hand track, so we're going to take a left here. So from RV3, we're now at RV4. We continue on, past these small buildings, around this little corner to hit this weird little junction here. This will be RV5 and the most furthest extremity of the training area that we will reach. We'll then follow this snake road round. This is the longest RV, and this is the area on which most contact is going to come from. As it's the longest and straightest part of the track, we're able to utilize the best amount of area for training here. So from RV5, we'll continue on. Section commanders, be aware, this is an area that could be quite hazardous. As you can see by its length, it's perfect for our training use. And we've now hit RV6. RV6 is a little funky, so pretty much just continue on past these small buildings. Take this right corner. And here we are at RV7. Once we leave RV7, take a right turn, following the grenades here again. Around this bend through these smaller buildings. We're not going to take a right. Continue up past RV8. All the way to RV9. As you can see, we are also going past RV3 at this point. So make sure that when you are returning back down this track past the old RVs that you make note of it on your map, which it has been done, but just for reference. Again, 150 meters or so, we're going to then hit RV2, but this will also be RV11. So they're conjoined RVs. So just go straight past it, don't take the right, which is the way we came from RV1 and 2. At this corner, we're going to continue on, back down this hill, coming close to our checkpoint, but instead of coming back down the road we came up, we're going to come down this road instead. Okay, and this will be our final RV. Okay, and once we get to this small little village here, we're to park our vehicles up on the right, as indicated by the IR grenades there, and we'll then foot patrol in up through this grassland into our defensive position on the top of this hill. So once we've taken up our vehicles up to this final RV point here, as you can see, this is going to be our main point of reinforcement if needed for our defensive position coming towards the north. We have British units that will be stationed here, including myself, who will be operating defensive exercise, along with our secured medic and any other friendly forces that will be in this area. This will also be our KIA, or Killed in Action area, where we'll be retreating our bodies back to if it comes down to it. There will be a holding party here for whoever isn't interested in taking part in Phase 3 again in this area here, who will be able to help shuttle back the guys or just help out with training. So for the guys who will be going into the Phase 2 training, we'll leave our secure location here where the vehicles will be left, and the rest of the medical team will be left along with command, and we'll take a small foot patrol without night vision at this point through this woodland using bearings and our navigation through this woodland as indicated by the grenades here into our first forming up point, which will be the small ruined building here. We'll then scout and reconnaissance this Sanger position coming up to the north here. Once it's clear and we know it's clear, we'll then patrol back up to the top of this hill. We'll take it as our defensive position overlooking this valley here. And from here, this is where our casualty and triage training will come into place. Section commanders are to dictate how they want to operate the defensive location, whether they want to use the rocks or the Sanger. There's a building to our north here that can be used as well as a secondary firing position. But this is going to be our defensive location for our triage drills and casualty evacuations, etc. There will be placed once set and everybody's happy and the section commander's happy, there will be enemies set in these locations. So keep your eyes open. This isn't going to be really much of a surprise, guys, but at the end of the day, we need people who are going to get injured so we can practice using AGM and making sure that we're using our medical supplies and our medics correctly. Calling them in only when secure and when necessary, etc., which will all be explained to the new guys as we go into the training itself. There'll also be further in-depth firing positions on top of these hills here, probably some heavy machine guns to keep your heads down. Along towards the northwest here, again, more firing positions, and towards the northeast, a few firing positions also. So pretty much a large area of fire to cover here, but I'm sure you guys can deal with it. If casualties are to be taken, obviously your egress route is going to be back the way you came, back towards HQ through this woodland into a secure location where we have our medic and any other comms and command elements that we need. We'll also have vehicles here that can be used to shuttle up and down this track here if needs be to get guys back and forth a lot quicker and save some time during the training. But for the most part, guys, this is going to be our defensive location, and section commanders can dictate how they want to operate during this particular part of the exercise. And really, guys, that's about it for the majority of the exercise here. So as mentioned before, split into two phases, phase 1 being our convoy loop, and phase 2 being our defensive location, including use of casualty evacuations and triage and medic procedures, or medical procedures. And also the use of IR strobes for friendlies, using our laser pinpointers, using flares, etc., just to mix it up a little bit with the night operation. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me on WhatsApp, email, or TeamSpeak whenever I'm available. I will need help from people within game when we get in on Wednesday. I'm going to try and get in about half an hour early to set up the map and set up certain locations, etc., within the training exercise itself. But please feel free to give me any feedback you want via WhatsApp or whatever it may be, and I'll try and fix and annotate stuff as I can. If anyone has any concerns with the training, again, please let me know and I should be able to adjust accordingly. I will have all grid references for everybody for the different RVs if they require them. They're all written down in my book, and I will give them to sector commanders prior to leaving anyway. Again, I'm trying to aim for about 2 to 3 hours for this to finish, but we'll see how it goes. And from there, I look forward to seeing you guys there on Wednesday. And if you can't make it, sadly, you're going to miss out on a really good, fun little exercise here. And if anyone wants to help me set up the exercise for Wednesday, then again, let me know, and I should be able to find something for you to do Wednesday, either on Zeus or briefing up the guys. Okay, guys, look forward to seeing you for exercise on Wednesday, and have a good day and week. Goodbye.